Hi, I'm Brian Crombie, and we're going to be talking on The Brian Crombie Show. We're going to be talking about politics, arts, business, and social issues on The Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. It's a pleasure to be back with you again this Thursday night and to introduce you to another interesting guest. Barbara Devine is a branding coach and an author of a book, and she's going to tell us a little bit about it. And she's got an interesting background and an interesting proposition, and that is that she spent over 30 years in sales in a bunch of different places. And she came to the conclusion during that time period that how you present yourself, your presence, your image, ends up being so critically important to success in life. And so she wrote a book about it. Now she's a speaker. She'll travel around doing speeches about this. She's written a book about it, and she does coaching about it. Barbara, how are you? Welcome to our show.
I'm doing great, thank you, and thanks for having me.
So, our pleasure to have you. So, image. Some people would say that's sort of fluff and it's unimportant. Why is image and branding of your own personal self so important?
Well, it is really important, and a lot of people don't totally understand all that goes into branding. And one of the surprising things is that your brand is an exterior reflection of how you feel inside. So it starts with your thoughts and your feelings and your actions, which create your results. So it's not about
thoughts, feelings, actions, results. Okay,
right?
Yep.
So it's an inside job. It's not about putting a fancy suit on or style.
I like this jacket.
This is yes, and you do look stylish. So you've got it all going on there. So that's good. But branding, like, people don't understand. It's about emotional managing your emotions. It's about habits. It's about health, because people can sense from you, whether subconsciously or consciously, what you're sending out. So that's why brand...
How do people sense subconsciously what you're sending out?
Because people can feel. So, feelings are a conscious recognition of your inner vibration. So, if, say, for an example, that sounds kind of complex, but if I'm sad inside, I'm feeling sad, I recognize that, and I'm sad. Well, you can feel that from me. You can sense that from me. Yeah. As humans, we can read each other, and it may not be on a conscious level, but subconsciously. So we have to put time. That's why
it's interesting. It's we're some of the only animals in the whole world that have got mirror neurons, which I think is what you're talking about, where we actually feel someone else's feelings.
We do.
Their emotions.
We do. We really do. And I say branding is so important because it's how you present yourself. It's what you're broadcasting to the world every day.
Right.
So what's more important than that? It's how people perceive you. Well, you can be very intelligent, but if you can't present yourself, if you can't communicate effectively, it'll make it very difficult for you to achieve your goals.
Okay, so you've got to figure out what your brand is, what your image is. How do you do that?
Well, it's all about developing your best you. So the best brand for me isn't the best for you, right? So if it's about being your best self. Yes, I almost knocked myself out with them. So it's about being the best you. So what's best for me is not for you. So it's being your best self. So if you want to really achieve the most you can in life, you've got to have a good brand that will get you there. Because you don't want to be trying to achieve something and not consider how you're communicating with people or how they're perceiving you. So it's really important.
So how do you develop a brand?
Well, it's like, what do you want to do? You want to connect with people, right? That's the best way to, for a brand, is to connect with people. That's what you want to do. You want to become across, regardless of
what... So brands usually have names or logos or taglines. Are you suggesting that?
No, I'm suggesting more of like a personal brand, not like a corporate brand where like I'm the best because my customer service or whatever. I'm talking about you. So whether you're in sales, whether you're facilitating a meeting, you're presenting something, you want to connect with other people. You want to connect in a positive way.
Okay.
So the way you do that is through your brand. So that is body language, voice tone, facial expression, posture, smiling. It's all about, you don't want to be perceived as very emotional. We all hear about emotional intelligence. We want to be able to manage your emotions as well. So your brand has to be just positive, so that people want to work with you or buy from you or listen to you or whatever, and then your expertise comes into play as well.
So I'm doing a doctorate in business I may have told you about, and I did a course that was really quite interesting on a comparable topic, and what they said is actually come up with a tagline, and often it's helpful if you have a tagline that has a mnemonic or something like that so you can remember it easy. And so we did a fair amount of work on this, and I came up with my own. I'm doing a DBA, a doctorate in business administration.
Oh, nice.
And so what I did is I used the DBA, and my brand that I wanted to use as the image I present is DBA, Dynamic, Bright, Articulate Venture Capitalist. So I want to be a dynamic, I want people to perceive me. And to think those through, it's, dynamite is a little bit more energy than average, bright a little bit brighter than the average, and articulate, I can speak, okay. So that was sort of the way that we did that, is think about what you want, how you want to be perceived, and put a name to it, and then try to remind yourself of it by putting some sort of a mnemonic to it. What do you think of that?
Excellent, but you've got to be that person, right? You can't say, this is me, but act a different way.
Right.
So you can't say, I'm very dynamic, but your body language is closed, and you're very lethargic, and you're low energy, because that'll turn people off. Because you've got to align your tagline with who you are. Because if you don't, then people will believe your body language, and they won't take you as your brand. They'll say, that's not that guy. There's no way. So they probably won't be impressed by you, and they probably won't deal with you. So you've got to make sure your brand, or what it is you want to project, matches your tagline and how you come across.
Which is the same as a corporate brand, is that the product performance has got to be equal to the product promise.
Absolutely, this is why I do a lot of coaching with businesses, because their brand is their people, really. Because I can advertise, I have the best cars or whatever it is, and then soon as someone comes into my dealership, my salesperson doesn't acknowledge that person, they don't smile, they don't make them feel welcome, then it's all for naught, right? So you have to make sure your people understand that tagline and brand and corporate culture so that they can mirror it.
Okay, so we're talking about a brand or an image, and you said there's a couple different components. Let's go through some of them. So one of them you said was posture.
Yes.
Or body
language.
Body language.
Yes.
Why is that so critically important, and how do you control that?
Well, and that's something that's fairly easy to control, because if you can kind of learn small steps. So you want to be open. So it's open body, then people will perceive you as more open and trustworthy. If you're very closed, or say your body language, I'm not paying attention to you, I'm not making eye contact, you'll perceive that as me being uninterested in you. So you really just have to pay attention, and it's about self-awareness. So if I'm talking to you, I should be looking you in the eye, not over your head or for somebody behind you.
Or checking the phone.
Checking my phone. It's very rude. I should be looking at you, paying attention to you, and I should be facing you. So it should be heart to heart as we're sitting.
Right, okay. Heart to heart, that's interesting.
Yes. So that means you're getting my full attention.
So not looking at you.
Right, and my feet. So this is kind of interesting. In different research studies, they say if you want to know where their attention is going, look at their feet. So if you stop someone in the office and say, can I talk to you for a second? They're like, well, hang on, I'm kind of busy. And their feet are still going in that direction. That means they want to go. So they're busy, talk to them another time. So your feet.
Really? So look at someone's feet to see where their attention is. That's interesting. So a couple of suggestions I've had is put a fist behind your back and the back of the chair. And what that'll do is that'll mean you don't slouch and you lean in. And when you lean in, you're showing interest, and your posture's got to be better because you're not slouching.
Yes.
Another one is, particularly guys have this problem, don't man spread. Like spreading out, putting the foot up, crossing your legs, etc. Not like in a refined way, but in an undignified man spreading way is completely inappropriate.
Yes.
And shows that you think that you're superior.
Yes, exactly, and that's ego. And for women, we've got to learn to take up more space. Because usually, well, not usually, but sometimes we'll sit, and this is changing, and we'll take up, you know, a little bit of space, and we'll sit like this, and we'll have our little book and our pen, and we take up little space.
So it's the opposite of
So we should be taking up more space. We should have, you know, our hands, use our hands for gestures, and not be afraid to take up room.
Right. Okay. And not cross your hands.
Right.
Right? Crossing your hands says, I'm closed, I'm not listening, I'm not thinking, I disagree with what you've got to say. Okay.
And some people do that if they're cold or, you know, but this doesn't always mean that, because some people do that as habit or it's a relaxing thing. But it's kind of a heads up or kind of one of those red flags, but it's best not to do that.
Okay, so that's body image. We're going to take a break and come back more with Barbara Devine in just a minute, and we're going to talk about some of the other things that you can do to improve your image and your own personal brand. Stay with us.
कोविड-19 का हल सिर्फ आपके पास है। घर पर रहें और अगर आपको बुखार या दूसरी अलामत है तो दूसरों से दूर रहें। बाहर के अफराद से 2 मीटर का फासला रखें, चाहे वो खानदान के हों या करीबी दोस्त। ऑफिस और पब्लिक प्लेसेस पर मास्क पहने, वक्फे से हाथ धोएं, ऑनलाइन सेल्फ असेसमेंट करें और जरूरत पड़ने पर टेस्ट करवाएं। फैलाव की रोकथाम के लिए हमारा फर्ज अभी मुकम्मल नहीं हुआ। हम एक दूसरे के ताउन से सबकी हिफाजत यकीनी बना सकते हैं। मजीद जानने के लिए ontario.ca/coronavirus पर विजिट कीजिए।
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, my name is Kevin Yard, your member of Provincial Parliament for Brampton North. And I know this past year has been hard on everyone due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I want you to know I'm going to fight hard for the residents of Brampton North for any of your concerns down at Queen's Park. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact my community office at 905-495-8030.
घर खरीदने का इरादा हो तो सबसे बड़ा मसला मॉर्गेज की अप्रूवल, मगर अब ये मसला नहीं रहा क्योंकि हमारे साथ हैं मॉर्गेज एडवाइजर मोइन अहमद। मॉर्गेज अप्रूवल सिर्फ एक कॉल के फासले पर। कॉल कीजिए 416-666-1563 और $3,000 कैश हासिल करें। सम कंडीशंस अप्लाई। कॉल कीजिए 416-666-1563। मॉर्गेज एडवाइजर मोइन अहमद।
मेरा नाम नासिर सरवर है और मैं रॉयल कैनेडियन रॉयल्टी के साथ मुंसलिक हूँ। आज मैं उन लोगों के लिए एक हाउस बाइंग प्रोग्राम लेकर आया हूँ जो रेंट पर रह रहे हैं। मज़ीद तफसीलात के लिए आप मुझसे रुजू कर सकते हैं। मेरा फ़ोन नंबर है 2894890678 और मेरी वेबसाइट है www.zerodownpayment.online।
Buying or selling a residential or commercial property is one of the biggest financial decisions most people will make in their life. The real estate lawyers at Alum Law Chambers will guide you through the complete real estate laws to ensure your transaction completes on time and your dreams come true. Reliable and affordable. Alum Law.
Was your family or business prepared for this financial crisis? Want to learn how I prepare my clients with the essential financial planning pyramid for any financial crisis come their way? Hello, this is Zahid Sayed from Arooj Financial. For your complimentary Zoom or Skype meeting, call my office at 905-624-0008 or visit aroojfinancial.com.
KK Travels believe in providing everyone with first-class customer service. We take care of not only your air ticket, but dignity and respect as well. We are available on WhatsApp anytime for you, even while you are in Pakistan or any other destination. We provide the lowest price guaranteed and are open to price match any airline.
We are KK Travels under supervision of Gas Khan at 905-367-9433 or visit www.gaskhontravels.com.
Are you looking for a different type of realtor? Meet Sohail Khan, broker owner of Century 21 Innovative Realty Inc. You don't need to know a lot about real estate, but you do need to know Sohail Khan, who knows a whole lot about real estate. He knows contracts, negotiations, research, he knows the market, and he really knows the area. When it comes to real estate buying or selling, Sohail Khan is a know-it-all. Get to know Sohail Khan. 416-822-0305 or at sohailcon.ca. Experience excellence.
टीम फरहान मॉर्गेज सॉल्यूशंस आपकी खिदमत में पेश 15 साल तजर्बे के हामिल, आपकी जरूरियात और मर्जी के एन मुताबिक कारोबारी, रिहायशी, तामीराती और ज़रूरी मॉर्गेज सर्विसेज। हमारा कम तरीन मॉर्गेज रेट। टीम फरहान
को एक दफा खिदमत का जरूर मौका दीजिएगा। And this is my personal promise to you, you will not be disappointed.
At Team Farhan, we have a mortgage solution designed for you. मज़ीद मालूमात के लिए 416-569-9294 या फिर विजिट कीजिए हमारी वेबसाइट www.teamfarhan.com।
Meet Kamran Qureshi. Kamran is an expert in providing personalized advices in the field of mortgage services. He can assist in dealing with purchase transactions, all refinance and equity takeouts, financing for primary or investment properties, transfer from other lenders, debt consolidation. Kamran has been providing mortgage services to the community for the last 17 years. Simply get in touch with the expert to arrange a meeting that works for you. Please call Kamran at 647-280-6663.
एयर विंग्स ट्रैवल एंड टूर्स नॉर्थ अमेरिका की सबसे बाएतमाद और फास्टेस्ट एयर ट्रैवल सर्विसेज। 25 साल का तजर्बा लिए लातादाद अफोर्डेबल ट्रैवल डील्स के साथ एक्सीलेंस इन कस्टमर सर्विसेज ऑन जस्ट वन फोन कॉल। ये है एयर विंग्स ट्रैवल एंड टूर्स। फॉर बुकिंग कॉल नाउ 1855-247-9464 और 905-272-2300। एयर विंग्स ट्रैवल एंड टूर्स।
Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. We're chatting tonight with Barbara Devine, who is a branding coach, speaker, and an author. And I'm going to ask her a little bit about her book because I think it's really quite interesting. One of the things, Barbara, that you talk about in your book is the word presence. And you say that you want to, if you're a leader and you want to be successful, you've got to develop presence. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by presence?
Okay, presence is who you are. Okay, and it's something that you exude without any words spoken. So it's confidence. It's how to explain it now. It's who you are. It's confidence. It's it's body language. It's the whole thing. It's what people perceive when they meet you.
Right.
So it's a whole bunch of things all in one. So leadership presence, it's like if someone comes into the room and you say, wow, do they ever have charisma? What is that? Mm-hmm. It's a whole bunch of things, right? It's confidence. They look like they're knowledgeable. They look like they're a really people person, or they're empathetic and they care about other people. So, or they have a lot of kind of jazz or pizzazz. Yep. So it's kind of hard to define, but it's words that describe who you are.
How do you develop that?
Practice.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's born that way, and that's the beauty of image and perception, managing people's perception of you, because no one's born a great speaker or with great body language. It's something that you learn, and we can all learn how to improve our image.
Okay. So how do you learn how to have presence?
You learn how to have presence by improving your brand and developing those things. So again, all your body language, you got to be one of those people that other people want to be around.
Right.
It's what they say about you when you're not in the room. So that's your presence. So that's who you are. So I can tell you I'm, this A, B, and C, but when I leave the room, you may think, wow, I don't see that. So you want to align what your presence is for what you want to achieve.
Okay. Okay. So I've had a couple suggestions on presence. Can I offer them up and see what you think about them? So some of the suggestions that I've had is that you've got to have the right energy level when you go up on stage, or if you go into front of a meeting, or even if you're on Zoom and you're talking to people. And sometimes people are overly excited, and so therefore you got to find a way to calm down. And other people are like completely lackadaisical, then you got to get it up. And so, what I would often do before I got up on stage is I'd either listen to really good music, and my favorite one was September by Earth, Wind & Fire, and it would get me pumped up. Then the one that I went to after that was by Pitbull. What was it called again? Fired Up by Pitbull, which would always get me fired up. And if I did that, I found that I was far more energetic and had more presence on stage or in a meeting. So that was number one. I also frankly used it before I went into exams because I felt that I did better on exams when I was fired up. So that was number one. The opposite being, at times I can get too fired up and I got to calm down. And so taking a couple of deep breaths is key. In stage, in a meeting, I've always found it really helpful to find some people in the room ahead of time, which you can either do by going into the room and meeting them, and or checking them out on LinkedIn or something like that, so that you can recognize people and point out their connection to whatever you're talking about or to what's going on. And so if you can establish, and even if there's 100 people in the audience, if you recognize 2 or 3 and point them out, everyone feels like they're sort of, because hey, I better pay attention because I think I called on next, right? That's right. And then actually looking at people in the audience. And then the other thing that a very, very successful actor and a dance instructor told me is that you never look at the person in the front row. Because if you look at the person in the front row, then your head is down. And you also don't want to look at the people up in the balcony, because if you look at the people in the balcony, people are going to see your chin and your nose, and you're going to feel conceited. What you want to do is look at the person in the second to third last row. Because if you look at the person in the second to third last row of the main stage, then you've got the right presence. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. But you can also look around the whole room, making eye contact with people. It doesn't necessarily have to be the back or the front, but just looking at people, because if you actually are looking at people in the audience and I'm looking at you, you feel like I'm talking to you.
Right.
So I should be making eye contact. And about the presence, you're absolutely right, like energy level. But if you're a leader and you're delivering some bad news, then you don't want to come, hey, whatever. Oh, by the way, we're going to lay off, 100 people. So you've got to be more empathetic. So you've got to match your body language to the message that you're delivering. Okay, so that's really important. The other thing is, I don't know if you've heard about Amy Cuddy, how she talks about body language. Yes, and match your body language creates your mood too, right? So if you really want to get out there and get those testosterone hormones going, you would use expansive body language. She does that superwoman pose. So it actually, when you expand yourself, it actually increases your hormones, testosterone, and it gives you more confidence and energy. And if you're very closed, and it actually makes you more afraid, and the cortisol. So if you ever want to get out there and be really energetic, kind of do that pose, expansive pose for 2 minutes.
The victory.
A victory pose and get the hormones going. Absolutely.
Okay. So the other thing that you talked a little bit about was, and I don't know if I understand this completely, but you said you've got to understand what you're thinking and that your thoughts control your brand, your image. Can you explain that?
Because we think of brand as something outside of ourselves or something that people see on the outside. But it really all starts with how we think. So we think of thoughts like kind of that bubble over your head, you think it and there's a little bubbles and boom, it's gone. But thoughts aren't like that. They actually, when you think something, it's an electrical transmission that actually changes your brain and your body. That's how strong they are.
If you think something, it changes your brain and your body.
Right. So the newest research...
So if I think I'm sad, then I'm...
Well, it makes changes in your brain and your body. So I'm just saying that that's the power of your thoughts. And new research has shown that through imaging. If you think something, even one thought, it changes your brain as well as your body. And one thing too is a thought isn't in isolation. It's like a domino effect. So if I think something, it's kind of then it affects this, affects this, and affects this. So there's consequences or results at the end. So if you want to change or improve here, you kind of got to go all the way back to how you think, because it's your thoughts that create your feelings, your behavior, and create your results. So it's a chemical...
Thoughts to create your feelings and your behavior
and your results.
Direct connection between them all.
Absolutely.
Starts with thoughts.
And like thoughts are things. Like it's like a noun, person, place, or thing, right? It's actually something you can see.
I did a New Year's Eve interview with someone by the name of Maria Fudas, who talked to me about manifest. And she changed the word thinking to manifesting, that you had to manifest something.
Beautiful.
Which really suggests that the thinking has gone a lot way forward from just thinking. You've got to believe it. You've got to live it. You've got to do it.
Attach emotion to it as well, right? So it's just that people they think, oh, I'm thinking this, but no one's going to know, or it's not going to show, but it is. Like, thoughts are really powerful. So we have to sit back and assess, what we're thinking. And another thing, too, is just because we think it doesn't mean it's true. Right? So I may think something, I may think, oh, exercising is bad for you because it wears your body down. Well, that's not true, but yet I think it, and I'm not going to exercise, or I'm going to tell my kids not to exercise. You know what I mean?
So and if you think that it's going to wear you down, if you probably do it, it will wear you down because that's what you're thinking.
That's right. So your thoughts are so integral to your brand. So you can't be like, I'm this and this and this, and not, you got to kind of reel it all the way back to what do you think, what do you believe?
You really think that people should come up with their own personal brand?
Absolutely.
And take a look at the way that they present themselves to the world, and number one, hopefully try to improve it, and then number two, make sure that it's consistent with who they
want to achieve. That's right.
What they want to achieve.
Because there's symptoms of a poor image. So if you say, well, I'm okay, my image is fine, but do you frequently have conflicts with other people? Do you always find it hard to explain yourself? Are you struggling to get that job or that promotion? There's symptoms that appear because your image is off, and it's just a matter of tweaking it and understanding what you're, all this thing, but all that goes into your brand and improving it. And it's a lifelong process to improve your communication. But there are people that, don't get the job because it's the way they present themselves.
Right.
Right? And it's something that's correct. You can't be corrected. And, you got to step out of that comfort zone. We're not all born to stand up and start talking in this huge auditorium. But you can learn to do that if that's what you choose.
So I told you what my brand is, or what I hope my brand is. What's your brand?
My brand is to come across as sincere, that I want to help people. And for them to understand that if they're struggling with something, and I really focus on the business side of brand, is that there's ways to improve it. You don't have to go out and get a master's degree or a PhD or whatever. I mean, that's wonderful too. But do something as simple as go back to how you think. And do you have biases? And are you presenting, what's your appearance like? So, and do you try to connect with people? Do you show you're interested in people? So my brand is really to come across as honest and sincere, and to help people improve, whatever it is they want to do.
Honest, sincere, and helpful. Sounds like a good brand for a branding
That's
coach.
That's what I'm going for.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
If people want to grab your book, what's the name of the book and how do I get it?
It's available on Amazon, and it's called Image is Everything.
Image is Everything.
Yes, Barbara Devine. Yes.
Excellent. Well, Barbara Devine, thank you so much for joining us and telling us about how image is everything and how we all have to develop our own personal brand. And Barbara had a bunch of suggestions on how we best can do that. So thank you so much, Barbara, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us tonight on the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Thank you. Good night.